turning stories of hurt into stories of hope. Join with us by calling 303-477-2473. Now, here's Angie Austin with the good news.
Oh, it sounds so good to hear the good news. Sounds so good to hear the good news. You know, the news is so good that I made you wait for it. This is Angie Austin. Hey, it's live radio. Sometimes you have technical difficulties. It used to happen in TV, and I haven't left that behind. It happens in radio, too. Don't worry about it, Paul. You still have your job.
Thank you.
It's okay.
Thank you very much. I'm glad.
I've never seen someone sweat so much at the beginning. You ran out of the room so fast. Are you all right?
Yes, I'm good. I'm good. I need some water now, but
okay.
I'll be fine.
It's a good thing you're young, because I think that you almost had a heart attack. Yeah, okay. That's my producer, Paul. I'm Angie Austin. Welcome to The Good News with Angie Austin. It's our first show, and boy, we're starting off with a bang. I just, first of all, want to thank all of you who watched my show when I did the news. You know, I did it, 21 years. And when I left, I cannot tell you how good it made me feel to get the letters, the emails from so many people. One woman wrote, Angie, you were like a ray of sunshine in my morning. I thought of you as my friend. Well, I feel the same way about you all, because now you're really, contacting me on Facebook, and you made a time that was difficult almost pleasant. And it was just so nice to hear from so many supportive people. And one of my favorites was that, Angie, you were like the sprinkles on a cupcake. I mean, who doesn't want to be that? I love cupcakes. And then when someone said I was like the glitter glue that held things together. And then my all-time favorite was, Angie, it felt like someone broke into my house and stole my coffee pot in the middle of the night. I want you back. So thank you all for all of that. It meant so much to me. But I'm just thrilled to be doing this now, the good news. It's just after all the years of talking to you about things that weren't always so good, this is going to be a lot of fun for me. I have two guests that I'm going to formally introduce in just a minute that they've inspired me over the last decade, and I just thought their story would inspire a lot of you as well. So Stephen and Jennifer Bishop will join us in a few minutes. And I also want you all to call in. And today you can call in about whatever you want. I'll take calls in a bit, but if you want to call in and get on the line now and hold, that's fine with me. Paul will do his best to put you on hold properly, won't you, Paul?
Yes, I will. I will do my best.
You're never going to live us down. You know
no,
that, right?
I know.
Okay.
First day out of the shoot.
Yes. All right. So the number to call if you want to call in and speak with Paul and then me is 303-477-2473. Again, it's 303-477-2473. And I want to talk to you, too, about why I wanted to do a show like this. It's just exciting to finally have the freedom to talk about things that are positive. Now, I spent about 21 years in the news business, and, many of those are right here in Denver on the Channel 2 News in the mornings. And in the news business, I often talked about tragic stories, and people would complain to me, that they didn't like to watch the news. It's too depressing. It's too negative. I don't like it. And I can understand that completely, because some of the stories were very difficult for me to read as well, especially when they involved children. It would hurt my heart reading the stories over and over again while you ate your Cheerios. It probably hurt your heart at times as well. So, I'm turning the tables now, and this station, KLVZ, is allowing me to talk to people who have turned their stories of hurt into stories of hope. And I really hope that you're going to be inspired by all of this. So the show is going to be kind of about hope and healing, inspiration, maybe a couple of laughs, maybe sometimes Paul not getting, my audio on the air. Right, Paul? I mean,
yes.
We're going to, yes.
It'll be a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. Yeah, so we just kind of want to make it fun for you, but offer some hope. And the reason I want to do this is, in college I did a triple degree, and I studied psychology, but I always liked listening to people's problems, and I like to try to help them. And I had a very difficult upbringing. And so I think in doing a show like this, I can offer hope to people and let them know that there is a way out of the pain that they might be feeling, but also just to kind of inspire you and brighten up your day. I mean, who doesn't want to be the sunshine in someone's day? I mean, that's awesome. I gave my testimony 2 weeks ago when I was doing my audition shows. I'll tell you a little bit about my background because I want you to know why I want to do this so badly. And then we'll talk to our guests, Stephen and Jen, and then we'll take your calls. Now, when I was about 6 years old, I figured out that my father was abusing my mom because we moved into a new house and I had a bedroom next to theirs. And at 6 years old, to hear that kind of abuse throughout the night and the screaming and the punching and yelling, and it was very violent. And I was very close to my mother. And I was pretty much the kid that was most in the know because my bedroom was next to theirs. I had 3 brothers as well. My mom tried to flee a couple of times, and my dad found us. We took a bus cross-country once, and he found us across the country and basically told me at a young age that if my mom ever tried to do that again, that it was my responsibility to call him right away and that, we weren't to leave. My mom finally got the courage to leave him when I was 12, and my mom's a woman of faith as well, and she thought that the last incident of abuse was so severe that she thought he was going to kill her, and she didn't think that there would be anyone to raise the kids, so she thought if I don't leave, he won't raise these children. My dad was an alcoholic, and he brought drugs into our home. 2 of my brothers ended up heavily using drugs. After my parents divorced, we moved into low-income housing, so things were tight financially. One of my brothers was murdered, and another one of my brothers currently, I don't know where he is. I don't know if he's still alive or not. He became a meth addict, and last I knew he was homeless in Los Angeles, but I haven't heard from him for about a year. So through the course of this situation at home, 2 of my brothers and pretty much just fell victim to their circumstances. And now over the next several years, I did spend a little bit of time in a foster home and with a relative, and my faith became, I believe, what enabled me to get out of that. So I want people to know that. I'm not going to beat you over the head with a Bible. I just want to know that, hey, it gave me hope, but you're going to be inspired by this show regardless of whether or not you hold my beliefs. I just hope that the way I live my life and listening to the show will make you see the peace that it has given me. Now, my mother is still alive and doing well. She's listening, in fact. Hi, Mom. And one of my brothers got out of the situation just fine and dandy. He graduated in the top 1% of his class at West Point Military Academy. And those are the 2 of us that didn't end up using drugs. I'm just so appreciative of where my life led to, and that, I was able to get out of low-income housing, and through working through high school and college in Boulder 7 days a week, that I was able to get an education because I always knew that as well would get me out of those circumstances. So I just hope that in sharing my story a bit, and maybe someday I'll share it a little bit more, that I give you a little bit of hope. And I want to say, if you see a kid going through something like that, or even someone that had a life like that, my mom didn't live near me, and my dad, I really haven't talked to him more than a handful of times. He pretty much deserted us when I was about 12. So I just want to say that there was a person that came into my life that really, really had an impact on me. And if you see a kid or even an adult that doesn't really have family around, really reach out to them, because even if you don't think that an adult still needs a mentor or a father or mother figure, my Aunt Eileen, whom my kids call Aunt Granny because she's like a grandmother to them and a mom to me, she really took me under her wing. And when I was in my 20s, she went shopping for my wedding dress with me. Every time I had a problem at a job, I would call her, and that just made a big difference in my life. So I just want to say thank you, because I know she's listening, and she just really made a difference in my life. So with that said, that's not a sad cry. It's a happy cry. My friends are looking at me like, are you all right? No, I'm fine. She just did so much for me. So I hope through the show we can offer hope, healing, inspiration, and some good laughs. And Paul will provide those, I'm sure.
That's what I'm here for, right?
That's what you're here for. Okay. You're here for the comic relief, Paul. Right. That's what you're here for. Love the purple shirt, by the way. It reminds me of Barney. You know Barney. Oh. I love you. You love me. We're a happy family. You do kind of look like Barney in that purple shirt and purple tie. But anyway, so now, thanks, Aunt Granny. Thanks, Aunt Eileen, for being there for me. And thanks, Mom. I love you, too. I know you're listening as well. I want to introduce Stephen and Jennifer Bishop because 10 years ago, well, more like probably 11, I was asked to go to an MDA benefit It was a fundraiser for the Muscular Dystrophy Association. And I was to introduce a couple, specifically Stephen. And so I thought, well, I'd like to know more about this handsome young man and his beautiful wife. So rather than just, going up and reading, this is Stephen and Jennifer Bishop, please welcome them. I wanted to know something about them. So I walked up to them, introduced myself. Hey, I'd like to know more about you because I have to introduce you and I want to do you justice. So I found out here's a man in his mid-30s with a wife younger than he is, and that they had a young son who was 3 or 4 at the time, and that he had been diagnosed with Lou Gehrig's disease, ALS, and he was basically told not to make any plans more than 3 months in advance because he needed to get his affairs in order, and it was a terminal disease. And I was dumbfounded at the way that they handled themselves, the grace from the moment that I met them, and over the last 11 years, they have become two of my closest friends. I have been blown away with how they have gotten through this time. And to be honest with you, I'm blown away by the fact that Stephen's still walking in here because he was not supposed to be walking or talking, etc. So I'd like to welcome my friends Stephen and Jennifer Bishop, and I hope you'll be inspired by their story. And after we're done talking, you can also call in our studio number and you can talk with them as well, or you can just plain talk and ask me why I'm doing this show. Hi, guys.
Hi.
Hi, good afternoon.
I'm so thrilled that you guys could come in. You're my choice for my first guest because you're so. Just tell me. I quickly tell us how you met because I think that's a cool story, and then I'll go through how the Christopher story about.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes. Okay.
Well, first we wanted to thank Angie for having us on the show. We're so incredibly honored to be your first guest.
I love you guys.
Yep.
We love you.
Thank you.
Well, so Stephen and I met in our 20s, and we were both working at a bar.
I've seen pictures. It looked like it was a lot of fun.
Yes, at the
was.
Marriott
was.
in Denver.
Says it was.
Stephen, I was the cocktail waitress, and Stephen was the bartender. And it was so interesting that neither of us grew up believing in God or Jesus and went to church. That just wasn't part of either one of our family's upbringing. And the first night we went out was March 17th, St. Patrick's Day. And that night we were together all night. We stayed up all night talking, and we knew we were going to get married.
Wow.
I know, that's scary, huh?
Well, I could see that knowing you two, and then you got married, and then I really am. I was touched because I also went through difficulty with having my kids, and so tell me a little about that. After you were married, you really wanted children because you are the mom of all moms. I mean, you were made to be a mom, isn't she? I know my kids kind of gravitate towards her.
Well, we had our life planned out, and what I wanted to say about our faith was neither of us grew up, but when we met, we both wanted to be married in a church, and that really was the start of our Christian walk together, and it's just grown and blossomed, and so we set 4 years after we got married, we decided, okay, it's time to have children, and well, it didn't happen that way. And
You do all the right things.
Yes, Stephen, I understand how it's done.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Okay, so
She
go
has
ahead. You
3
do all the
kids.
right. Yeah, 3 kids.
Okay.
You do all the right things.
and no baby, and no baby, and no baby, and so we prayed a lot, and at that time I was working for Denver County Social Services and Child Support Enforcement, and I could not believe why God would not let us get pregnant. And so after 4.5 years of infertility treatments, our miracle baby, and Chris is listening, Christopher Ryan Bishop was born and has blessed our life.
Now he goes by just Chris.
Yes,
So,
Chris, yeah, I'm aware. When I met him, he was 3 or 4, and he walked right up to me in the studio. He came into the news, and he jammed his hand out to shake my hand. And he goes, "Nice to meet you, Miss Angie Austin." I'm like, "Wow, you're quite a toddler."
Well, he watched you every morning on the
what
news,
a
and he would
little pumpkin.
talk to you.
Oh,
And so he didn't know you weren't talking just to him.
well, after trying to, so you'd been married then by the time he was born about 9 years.
Yeah,
that's about right.
It was about 9 years.
So after trying to have children for so long and putting such an effort into it, then tell me, Stephen, I want to know a little bit about, I want to talk about when you started to figure out that something was